All right. Well, then, why don't we just dive in the groups then, shall we?
Let's dive.
All right. So basically, we are going to give you guys players to watch from each team, a little bit about how they're doing in the league right now, coaching and things like that. And then at the very end, we're going to give our group standing predictions. So kind of 1 through 6. We won't, I don't think we're going to do the 4 teams that move on from each group because we are only doing Eastern groups today. And then on Wednesday, we'll do the Western groups. But yeah, we'll give you our group standings for sure. So starting in Eastern 1. So this is the first group, and Tier 1 will have Toluca and Columbus, or those are the two Tier 1 teams. Tier 2 were Lyon and New York City FC, and Tier 3 were CF Montreal and Puebla, which at quick first glance kind of fits. You're gonna see some tier designations this time around that don't quite line up with how do I say the performance of the team in past. So let's start with Toluca then. So the Liga MX Tier 1 team, they're led by 55-year-old Argentine Antonio Mohamed and currently sit atop of the Apertura table, which is 2 wins from 2 matches, 7 goals scored, 3 against. There's not a lot to take from that. But they also topped the Clausura last season with 11 wins and only 2 losses. They beat out Club America by a single game. They are one of the best teams in Mexico right now, hands down. And they have a hand. They're going to be a handful for anybody that come up against. But I do want to add this. This is something we haven't done in the last 2 times we've done this because we always talk about how much crossover MLS and Liga MX are. I want to highlight some of the former MLS guys on every Liga MX roster this year. And I thought I was going to go through and be like, oh, there's like 15 teams that don't have anything. I think there are 2 teams that have no connection whatsoever. So in Toluca, right now you're going to see a familiar face. His name is Hector Herrera from formerly of Houston, but this is also the current home of Frankie Amaya, who is on loan with LAFC. So Connor, can you tell me a little bit about kind of who where these games are getting played and maybe some big signings that this team has made that we need to be on the lookout for?
Sure. So they're going to be bouncing around a little bit. Their first game is going to be played in Columbus at Lower.com Field. Then they're going to go over to Sports Illustrated Stadium, the home of the New York Red Bulls, obviously.
But the Red Bulls aren't in this
And
group.
that's where they're playing.
Oh man, I wonder why. Homeless, homeless.
Speaking of the homeless, take me out to the ball game because Toluca is finishing up in Yankee Stadium. So yes, there's not a huge commute between Harrison and Yankee Stadium, but they are not going to be playing in the same stadium twice during the group stage. I'm sure that's going to be a topic of discussion for people at some point. But some of their big signings, as Andrew mentioned, this is one of the bigger teams in Liga MX. And so there have been some big names kind of in and around the team. One thing I will say about Liga MX that made this part very difficult to do research for is so many teams just fully reset their team like every transfer window.
Yeah.
It's absurd. And so I had to do a lot of checking to make sure guys are still on the team and playing because obviously it shouldn't be a big signing if they're already gone. One of them, Andrew mentioned before, Hector Herrera from Houston Dynamo coming over. Tons of experience over in Europe. He is getting up there in age a bit, but we know what he can do. We saw what he could do with Houston. And then Pau Lopez is the other one I went for. He is a goalkeeper coming over from Marseille. I think he has a shot to get in there and take that number one spot. I don't believe he's played yet, so I don't know. I could be wrong on if he's actually going to participate in the Leagues Cup, but it was a recent transfer for them, so I wanted to shout that one out. Obviously, coming over from a pretty big team over in France.
Yeah, yeah, and that's one of the things that we were talking about off air that we're gonna highlight here is the level at which Liga MX can pull talent from versus the ones that MLS can pull talent from is very, very vast and different. So we'll have that conversation as it comes along. Give me a player to watch. Give me somebody that you're keeping your eye on for this team.
So I've gone for Alexis Vega.
Nice.
I he has very good underlying numbers on FBref, and he had an absolute monster year for them last year. 12 goals, 11 assists, 23 total goal contributions for them in 31 starts as they finished, I believe, second, and already has an assist so far this year in 100 minutes. He was a guy that I remember being touted as like an up and coming star for the Mexico national team. And I don't know if he's quite hit the peak potential that he once had, but I mean, if you continue to have seasons like you had last year, I think you're getting closer and closer. So I think he could be a massive game changer for them, considering he's coming into like really good form.
Yeah, yeah. I had two of them here. I had Vega, and then I had his partner on the other side, Helinho, I think is how you pronounce that. Right now, and again, take it with a grain of salt. There's only two games in there, but he's leading the goal scoring right now for Toluca. And the reason I put them together is because it's very clear that they are the dangerous duo on the outside of this team's shape. They're going to cause a lot of problems for a lot of different people, whoever they come up against, right? And I highlight this as we watched Max Arfston, for example, in Columbus try and defend. If they're playing to the point where he is going to be pinned back, they are in for a tough day. And I do believe that's something that they can do because of their quality and the way that they play. And then they're going to go and try and set up things for their man in the middle, the Portuguese striker Paulinho, who also is getting on the end of these services and putting crosses away and scoring goals. So that whole attack is going to be a nightmare for all these defenses to deal with. There are lots of teams that they're going to play this group, and for poor CF Montreal, I just hope they keep it respectable. Poor guys.
Listen, let's not throw Montreal under the bus yet. Let's let them play and see how it goes.
All right, I won't throw them under the bus until we get to them to talk about. Then I'll throw them under the bus
Okay,
because
sure, that's fair enough.
oh man. Well, let's move on then. Let's head over to Columbus and talk about the highest ranked MLS team from this group. The Crew, they're led by Wilfred Nancy. We know this. They are running hot in the Eastern Conference, currently sitting fourth. They have 11 wins from 23 games, and they have played the Nancy ball style that we all know and love. However, in recent weeks, we have seen them exposed via the press, a la Nashville beating them 3-0 just by pressing the heck out of them. But it is very early in the Liga MX Apertura season, so are we going to see any team that has any bit of fitness try this method and press them? I don't know. It's something to keep an eye on for sure. Talk to me about transfers. Talk to me about the where they're going to be playing games. I'm assuming they've got a couple more home games than Toluca does.
Well, they have all of the home games versus Toluca. Columbus will be playing every phase one game in Columbus. I think that will be a huge advantage for them. In terms of big signings, I think they've made a couple of good ones in terms of like just filling out the depth, but I think the biggest name there is Daniel Gazdag coming over from Philly. Yeah, I'll save it on that because I may or may not have a little bit more to talk about him
Ooh,
later.
well, move, go, spread your wings and fly. Go ahead, keep going. Tell me more.
All right, well, Daniel Gazdag was also my player to watch in this one. Obviously we know the quality of player that he is. He was a phenomenal player over in Philadelphia. And I think since the move just really hasn't found his footing yet with Columbus. He's on one assist for the season, zero goals. Very unlike him. He's usually a dominant goal scorer, even if it is mainly from the penalty spot. And yeah, so I'm he's my player to watch because maybe this is an opportunity for him to kind of reset, not look at it from a whole regular season phase and just say, okay, this is a brand new tournament, an opportunity for me to start to like put my stamp on this team. And maybe it gives him this boost if he does have a good run here to carry him on the rest of the season.
I like it. I've got a couple of players like that in my breakdown here, but not here. This one I'm watching USMNT left back Max Arfston. That's my player to watch because of all the talent in the team. He's been very, very sneaky good. I think we all know what he does when he goes forward and a part of it, but he's got the highest average rating on WhoScored.com for all of Columbus players, which baffles me because you don't see him as like the main face of the team. And again, take it for what you will. It's a grading website. It's obviously not exact, but 4 goals and 3 assists in 18 appearances because he was gone at the Gold Cup from an inverted left back spot is pretty crazy. Columbus obviously going to be on the ball early, often, and all the time. And they're going to attempt to break down their opponent with possession and clever off the ball movement, which is one of Arfston's strengths. He knows how to get into the right areas and attack well. So this is going to be it's going to be an interesting approach for them. And I'm curious to see how they try and solve some of the problems here because they've got a couple tough Liga MX groups in there, clubs in there. Speaking of those relatively tough Liga MX sides, Club Leon, after watching their Club World Cup bonus check disappear before their eyes at the very hands of an MLS side themselves, they are set to take on a relatively tough first group in League's Cup. They are led by another 55-year-old Argentine, this time in Eduard Berizzo, and they finished sixth place in the Clausura last season, and they've only played one match this year at the time of recording, and it was a 1-0 loss to San Luis. So there are a couple former MLSers on this team, including Emmanuel Rigoni, but the face of this side is somebody you're probably going to talk about. It's Colombian playmaker James Rodriguez. Are we kidding? How did we let this guy slip through our hands? If we're going to bring in players that are, wrong side of 30, this is the guy we needed. Tell me more about him.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you stealing my whole flow here, but I'll tell you first a little bit about where they're going to be playing.
Oh, so you're
Um,
not you're not flexible with the flow of the episode. I get it.
nope,
You're just not you're
nope.
not a professional
I'm
like me.
rigid. I'm rigid. I'm like an uncooked pasta. Um, so
Jesus.
what?
It's just such a
It was a
continue.
you make it sound like I
Continue.
said something inappropriate. I just said
No,
it's an
no, it's
uncooked
just like
pasta.
that. That's when you talk about rigid, I'm thinking like a plank of wood, not pasta.
I'm hungry. What could I say? I don't know what to tell you.
On you go.
Um, Leon is going to be starting off their journey here, and I call it a journey because they are bouncing around at Stadio Saputo in Montreal. Then they're bouncing over to Sports Illustrated Stadium, home of the New York Red Bulls. And then finally, last but not least, they will be rounding out their trip at Lower.com Field in Columbus. So they are going to be, yes, relatively in the northeast corner, but they are bouncing around. They don't really have any consistent stadium to be playing at. And as Andrew spoiled, um, one of their big signings is James Rodriguez, coming over from Rayo Vallecano. I believe he did play a good amount of time with them last season. Obviously, comes into this season. And then one other name I wanted to mention as another kind of bigger signing for them is Rodrigo Echeverria, coming over from Huracan down in Argentina.
Yeah, well, I'm just gonna build off of you because Rodrigo Echeverria is my player to watch. He actually came over last half season, so he's been there a little bit, and I know that's still technically the full season. So for the American or the MLS listeners who kind of are lost here, just roll with us, please. It's not the same yet, I guess. I think he's gonna have to control the midfield really, really well against teams like Toluca and Columbus, who really like to be on the ball, who really like to control the game. He's going to have to be a big, big part of that Leon side to control it if they want a chance to go through. Because as we were mentioning, the weird thing about this setup is you're going to have a lot of good teams miss out because you get 4 out of 18 move on. So if you drop points anywhere, there's a good chance you're not moving on, which is insane to think about. And we'll probably end up rounding back at the end of the tournament to talk about how we can improve it. And I bet you that's going to be one of our topics. Spoilers.
Well, I will take the other half of this. I've gone for James Rodriguez. Obviously, we know the quality of player that he used to be. However, if I'm being frank here, I wish I had a name tag. I would say my name is Frank. He's fallen off a bit. I think he has found maybe a little bit of form with Leon from last season, but very interested to see what kind of role he plays. In the first match, he only played 29 minutes. He did not start. Interested to see what his game time is going to look like for this tournament and what kind of impact he has. I mean, obviously, if he can roll back the years, he is a incredibly talented player that would do a lot of damage to a lot of teams in this tournament. However, his form is been anything but that in the last few years, if he's been getting any game time at all, which outside of last year, he really hasn't been. So very interested to see what kind of impact he has, or if he has like any. Maybe he barely plays at all.
I mean, listen, he's going to be in the pocket of Darlington Nagby for 90 minutes, and then he's going to go over to New York City. He's going to be the pocket of Johnny Shore, and then he's going to go to Montreal and score 7. So
Wow, you're on a Montreal tirade today.
I'll get into it when we get there. But why don't we go to New York City FC here? Because we got to get out to the ball game. It's where you should be, but we're not going to start with that. We're going to chat NYCFC here because they had a rough start to the season. Trying to figure out players that have left with a new head coach. But at the current moment of recording, they're sitting seventh in the Eastern Conference, picking up 3 wins in their last five. They sit on 34 points from 10 wins as we enter the last stretch of games before the playoffs kick in. First year manager Pascal Janssen has not yet returned the team to the glory that they were at a few years ago, being fourth place and sneaking through COVID playoffs. But he does have them 11th overall in the Shield standings and firmly in the playoff spots at the moment. Talk to me about location, talk to me about signings.
All right, so NYCFC, 3 home games for them. They're going to be starting off in Sports Illustrated Stadium, obviously their home stadium, followed up by another game at Sports Illustrated Stadium. Again, another home game for them. And last but not least, as we mentioned with Toluca, we're taking them to the ball game at Yankee Stadium to round things off. Wouldn't have it any other way, to be honest with you. NYC has been, I mean, you can correct me if I'm missing anything. I don't believe I am relatively quiet in the transfer window. Not a lot going on from them. I've gone for, I don't even know if you can classify this as a big signing considering he has not played a lot for them so far, but I've gone for Aiden O'Neill coming over from Belgium. Kind of like one of 3 options here, and feels like he has maybe the potential to have the most impact on this team. So, selection by elimination.
Yeah, no, he's actually been good for the again, not their long term, but he's been good when he played for them. So um I'll give you that there that that's a good pick there. But is he your player to watch? Talk to me.
He is not. My player to watch is Alonso Martinez.
Nice.
He has been, I mean, listen, there might be NYC fans that are going to disagree with me, but I think he's been a little bit underwhelming so far this year. I mean, I think 9 goals through 19 appearances so far. It's solid. It's certainly not bad. I am in no way, shape, or form saying it's bad. However, when you look at the fact that he has an XG of nearly 14 and he has 9 goals scored, feels like there's just a lot being left on the table here. And I'm really curious to see if, similar to a situation with Gazdag, maybe this is a tournament that kind of wakes him up and he rediscovers the form where he was super electric last year. So maybe this is an opportunity for him to kind of like not necessarily hit the reset button. He's not exactly having as poor of a season as Gazdag is, but maybe for him to kind of like find that form again because it seems like he's getting himself in the right spaces. He's just not necessarily finishing them.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I mean, you saw him. He did score the winner against, I believe he scored the winner against Orlando, but just minutes before that, he had a sitter on the doorstep and he hit the post. It's like last year's Alonso Martinez, lights out, right? Don't have to
Yeah,
worry about it. And I believe that was him, by the way. I can't remember off the top of my head. We've been doing a lot of prep for this, so I might be wrong. If I am wrong, somebody correct me, tell me I'm wrong, but I think it was him.
I would love
Um,
to tell you you're wrong.
yeah, but you can't because to you, I'm never wrong because you don't have any proof to tell me I'm wrong because that would involve you watching soccer, and we know that that's not your thing. I hinted at my player to watch before. It is young center mid Johnny Shore. He's just 18 years old. He's broken into the first team, and he's been an integral part in their side, making 21 appearances, accounting for 60% of the total minutes possible. He plays like a kid that is hungry to make his mark, and it shows. He does the dirty work between the lines. He allows somebody like Maxi Morales to play the creator role, but when he gets in the game, whether he's starting or as a sub, the level doesn't drop, and you can't tell he's an 18-year-old player. It is really, really impressive, and why I want to see him, why I'm keeping an eye on him, because how many players have made moves from MLS to Liga MX just from showing out in this tournament, right? I'm sure there's a handful of them that at least got put on a radar, right? My guess is Matty Bogusz probably was on a radar after LAFC's performances, not only in Champions League, but also in Leagues Cup. I would really like to see what happens to his stock if he has a crazy tournament here and just balls out and, is a top 10 center mid in this tournament. I'd love to see if again, Liga MX clubs will always come calling, but I wonder if that'll put him on the map for somebody like Man City to be like, oh, yeah, we'll take you and loan you out to, you were on our seventh team. We'll loan you out to our fifth team and see if you can climb the ladder that way. Straight to Japan for you, sir.
That would be kind of cool.
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it?
Um, I guess it depends on if he's going to play or not. He hasn't played a ton lately. He's been only getting little appearances, it seems like.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, when Aiden O'Neill came in, he kind of rotated out, and I think with Keaton Parks is probably on his way back. He was hurt for a while too. But my point is that if he does enough to earn those minutes, and I think Keaton Park might still be hurt, which is why I think I am leaning towards this. if he does enough to earn those minutes. And again, you got to remember too, these games, even though we are not taking a full month off, these games are quick succession. They're only a couple days apart. So you're going to need rotation. You're going to need people to step up and do their, do the work. I would want to see him come in and be one of those players.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right.
And yes, you're correct. Keaton is still hurt, I
Yeah,
believe.
I know there was rumors about him maybe coming back, maybe not coming back, and I hadn't kept up with it, but that's my guess is he's still out. Somebody had made a mistake and allowed some MLS Next Pro sides in, and there are like three or four of them that are in this third tier of teams, and one of them is here. It's CF Montreal. I don't know who let them in, but we probably need to talk about them because that's cruel and unusual punishment. After firing their coach just 5 games into the season, replacing him with interim manager and former player Marco Donadell, their results have drastically remained the same. They are firmly in the wooden spoon race, sitting dead last in the East on 15 points, just 3 wins. This has been what they call a season to forget for MLS, for Montreal fans, and for Joey Saputo, this is just a season. They have a staggering minus 23 goal differential on 43 goals against, nearly the worst in the league in that final category. And all the while, their owner is shipping anybody worth a damn out the door for pennies on the dollar. And now they have to go in and play against Toluca and Club Leon. It's bothering me because we've talked about this, and we're not going to go down this path. But George Campbell just made a transfer out. They're talking about shipping out Jonathan Sirois, their goalkeeper, and the only thing they do is bring in Bologna players on loan. And it's frustrating because now we're going into these things, and they might get dog walked, and we're gonna hear the whole, oh yeah, like the bottom of your league isn't as good as the bottom of our league, blah 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 blah. It's like I'm not gonna rehash it, but I don't like Joey Saputo. I know a lot of people don't like Joey Saputo, and the fact that we're going into like I said, I don't think they're going to the playoffs. I think that's pretty clear. But the fact that you're going into a tournament where you're going to be able to showcase yourself and win some money if you get out of the group or whatever, and you're just like, yep, sell anybody we want, we'll rebuild next year, bothers me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, I understand that. I mean, they're finally their lack of spending and lack of ambition is finally catching up to them, and it's unfortunately it's not deserved to the fans, but it's definitely deserved to this ownership group.
Hmm. Yeah, well, like I said, of all these people, we're out here talking like, oh, maybe the Club World Cup will make us increase spending, and maybe the Leagues Cup that we keep winning the Leagues Cup, but one day we won't. Maybe that'll be a wake up call, and then it's just Robert Kraft and Joey Saputo being like, no, 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 not doing that. Sorry, money, money, money. I hate,
Gotta have your
I hate
money.
it. Yeah, I hate it. I hate it. But talk to me about where they're playing and talk to me about some if they've made a signing.
Yeah, so Montreal, they are going to be playing at Stade Saputo in Montreal for their first game. Then they're swinging over. A lot of games going on at Sports Illustrated Stadium, but they will be at Sports Illustrated Stadium for game two. And then they're back in Montreal for game three. A couple of signings. I've written down here Jalen Neal. Obviously, we know he has some big potential from his time in LA. And then the other one I put, not necessarily because of his impact on the field, but considering he is taking up a designated player spot, and that is very rare for Montreal. I've gone for Giacomo Vrioni coming over from New England.
Yes, if I remember correctly, I think Sports Illustrated Stadium is a hub for one of the teams. If not, if it's who is it? Where are we?
I think it's
Toluca.
Toluca, maybe.
Yeah, I think it's Toluca's hub, I think. Now, weirdly enough, they haven't really mentioned any of it, which I think is kind of weird. I'm gonna see if I can find it. Yeah, don't see it. They didn't mention it, which somebody can correct us if we're wrong, or can let us know if they find it because I don't see it. But we move. Talk to me about a player to watch because there aren't many.
I've gone for Prince Owusu. I mean, I would make the argument that he's one of, if not like the only player that's worth watching on this team. On a very poor Montreal side, he still has 10 goals so far this year.
Hmm.
Um, and I would imagine that's with limited service. So, he's up against a designated player, someone who obviously had some pedigree coming into the league, and he has absolutely made that striker spot his own. Yeah, I don't necessarily think this is going to be a tournament where he just like blows up and continues his run for the rest of the season, but I think he's like arguably the only person that might be worth watching on this team.
Yeah, when I thought about players to watch, I thought about any other attacker on any other team that they play against, because that's the guy you want to watch. But if I had to pick one from this team, especially, so the way I usually handle this is if the team has a very, very low likelihood of moving on, I'm actually hoping that they utilize this tournament as a stepping stone for some of their younger players, right? See what they can do at top levels. And I think Olger Escobar could be one of those players that's set for a breakout. Highly touted addition early in the year, but he only started making a couple appearances for Montreal this month. He had a really good Gold Cup showing for Guatemala, including a goal against the men's national team in the semifinals. I don't know if you remember that, but that was him who scored that goal. He helped Guatemala get all the way to the Gold Cup semis. He took out Jesse Marsh's Canada, ha ha ha, on the way up there. And I think that they're going to just let him fly this tournament. I don't. I think they know they're not going to the playoffs, so this might be the lone bright spot for them. Let him fly, see what they can do. And my guess is if anybody thinks, oh, that guy's probably good, they'll sell him for $45 in a bag of balls. So, get his value up now, and we'll see you never, right?
Yeah, I mean, to say the least.
Montreal is it a Canadian thing? Like Vancouver gets good and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're points away from the Shield. Yeah, take all of our best players." Now Montreal's like, "We're points away from the wooden spoon. Yeah, take all of our players." Like it's got to be a Canadian thing, right?
I don't know. Either that or I mean Toronto's their only hope, honestly.
Help me, Toronto. You're my only hope.
Yeah, they are,
Uh,
and that's tough too because they haven't exactly been much of a hope the last few seasons.
anyways, let's hit on Puebla from Liga MX. Another Argentine leading this group, this time 50-year-old Pablo Guede. They aren't doing so hot right now. They're currently 0-2 on the year in the Apertura, 5 goals against, and they finished 17th out of 18 last season with just 2 wins in 17 games, finishing on 9 points. That is a showing that Southampton would have been proud of. It's been a rough go of it for this side that is home to former MLSer Lucas Cavallini, and they will hope to turn that around with a good Leagues Cup showing. Talk to me about location. Talk to me about signings.
Well, as you can imagine, Puebla has not earned its right to have a home field advantage here. So they again are going to be bouncing around. First stop is at Sports Illustrated Stadium. Shocker, hearing a lot of that. Next, they're going to Lower.com Field in Columbus, and they are rounding off their trip at Stade Saputo in Montreal. Big signings, really not a lot of them. I have just for the sake of having somebody for every team, I've gone for Juan Fedorko from Independiente.
I bet you definitely pronounce that correct too. There's definitely
Oh,
no way you
definitely. It's
butchered
it's
that
probably
one.
not like Fedor Show or something like that, but I kind of like Fedorko better.
I'd say that was the most American pronunciation you could give. 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10. I'm guessing Fedorko is your player to watch because you know his name so well.
Actually, he is not. I have gone
Whoa.
for I know. I've gone for Julio Gonzalez. He is their
Nice.
34-year-old goalkeeper. The
Goalkeeper
reason I've
love,
gone for him,
baby.
huh?
Goalkeeper love. We love it.
Goalkeeper love. The reason I've gone for him, if you look at who has made starts for this team this season so far, I mean, obviously very early days, but this is an extremely young team.
Hmm.
Literally, it is Julio Gonzalez at 34 years old, and then the next youngest to have made a start this season is 26. It is a very young team. I think he's going to have to do a lot of leadership for this team. Very curious to see what kind of impact he has for them in terms of on-field leadership. I think it's going to be, and not to mention too, I mean, like you talked about it, this is not a good team. He's probably going to be very busy in goal as well. So kind of an impact on the field in terms of play and as well as, what kind of role does he play for a lot of these young guys in terms of leadership.
Yeah, yeah, and I like that. First of all, always love goalkeeper love. The very good point. I didn't recognize when I went to look at the information, it did look like they had just a ton of people starting, but I didn't recognize that they were all the young kids. They're taking the Red Bull approach of of youth academy into profit. But now we don't need to
Yeah.
do that because we have so many games at Sports Illustrated Stadium. We're just taking in the field rent money and we're going to put it straight to Timo Werner, and then we're going to win MLS Cup.
Something like that.
Oh man, we're very silly today. This is a silly episode. I like it.
Just
Um,
two silly guys.
yeah, we're just goofing around, you know. Uh, I mentioned before with the teams that aren't going to move on or are very unlikely to move on, I look at the young players to shine, and one that caught my eye was 19-year-old center back Jose Pachuca, not Jose Puebla, Jose Pachuca, but doesn't play for Pachuca, plays for Puebla. He had just over 1,000 minutes last year as an 18-year-old out of a possible 1,500, remember, right? This is the half season. And according to Transfer Market, which somebody can tell me if I'm wrong here, he's already the captain of the team at 19 years old, which is massive, right? So it looks like this guy could be a really big talent for the future, and I'm interested to seeing in some performances out of him in this tournament against a very interesting group of attackers, right? You've got the Columbus group, you got the NYC group, you have the Leon and the Tolucas, like those all have different ways that they're going to attack, and it'll be interesting to see how he handles that. And then you got Montreal, but he won't have to do much against Montreal. I just want to put it out there, by the way, before we move on to predictions. Montreal, I'm expecting payment when you guys top the group because the amount of podcast jinx I'm putting on this team, you know damn well they're gonna finish. They're gonna move on. They're gonna win the thing because I just keep slandering them. So when they win Leagues Cup, I want 0.5% of the Leagues Cup winning sent this way. That's all I ask. Is that too much?
No, you should drop your address too while you're here, just in case
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
listening.
Listen, go to please. Um, well, evidently I can't do that. I tried to order sneakers and I can't do. They got delivered to the wrong house and I can't find them.
You can't do anything right. Shocker.
I can't. But what I can do is make some group predictions. So, Connor, why don't you give me your 6-1? Give me 6-1.
Well, okay, so some of this depends on what the tiebreakers are.
Correct.
Um, so I am not sure exactly who's going to end up top here, but I've got Columbus and Toluca on 7 points here. I've got Leon in third on 4. Shockingly enough, I have Montreal next on
No,
three
you
points.
don't. That's a
I
lie.
do. I
That's
do.
a lie. You
You
what do
don't
you
think they
think?
could beat Puebla?
No.
I at home, you don't think they could beat Puebla? You just talked about they had 9 points and 2 wins. As bad as
Yeah.
Montreal is, I still think they could beat them at
Yeah.
home.
And Montreal's a next pro side. We're not doing this.
I've got Montreal in fourth on 3 points. Listen, you should be happy because next I have NYC. I've got NYC below Montreal. I've got them on 2 points, and I've got Puebla on 1.
Okay. I don't have the points laid out. So I kind of was just going off of vibes, like who I think is going to be like ranking them 6-1. So I've got Montreal at 6, Puebla at 5, Leon at 4, New York City at 3, Columbus at 2, Toluca at 1. I think Toluca and Columbus run the show against one, and yeah, I think Toluca beats NYC. They definitely beat Montreal. They probably tie Columbus. I think Columbus maybe ties Toluca, ties Leon, beats Puebla. New York City loses Toluca, tie Leon, beat Puebla, but lose on tiebreaker, and then things like that. Yeah, that makes sense to me. So I'll go with that. So repeat yours just without me interrupting you and yelling about that, and then I'll repeat mine just so the people can hear it.
So I've got Puebla at 6. I've got NYC at 5. Montreal at 4. Leon at 3. Columbus at 2. Toluca at 1.
Okay. And I've got Montreal at 6, Puebla at 5, Leon at 4, New York City at 3, Columbus at 2, Toluca at 1.